Hello and welcome to Set for Smash Moveset Concept, where we analyze video game characters and see how they play in Super Smash Bros. And today's moveset is our 4th place winner of our Fighter Pass fan poll. The one, the only Lord of Darkness, Hades. Now you might be familiar with Hades in Greek mythology, son of the Titan Kronos, and brother to Zeus and Poseidon. However, this variant of Hades comes from the world of Kid Icarus, more specifically, Kid Icarus Uprising on the 3DS, made possible by the Smash creator himself, Masahiro Sakurai. Just like in the Greek mythos, Hades is the lord of the underworld, and a bit of a mischievous troublemaker who wants nothing more than pure chaos and bloodshed. As the more souls that reach the underworld, the more powerful he becomes. Though Medusa was originally the major antagonist of Kid Icarus, Hades basically claimed the title of major antagonist from Medusa, and understandably wise, he's actually very menacing and sometimes surprisingly funny. Though he was defeated at the end of Uprising, sorry for the spoilers, there is a secret dialogue where he states that he will return someday. But could that resurrection happen now if he joins Super Smash Bros? Let's find out. Starting off with the details, the series symbol is the bow and arrow of the Kid Icarus series. As much as I'd love to use the symbol for the underworld, it makes more sense to use the bow and arrow as that was the original series symbol of the Kid Icarus franchise. So I'll let you guys decide in the comments whether or not he should have his own series symbol, or that he should keep the symbol that the other Kid Icarus reps also have. Height-wise, Hades would be pretty stoic and on par with height with Ganondorf. Though he wouldn't be as wide as him, he would still have a menacing malice, and occasionally times would levitate his feet off the ground. Even though Hades has been resurrected, he is unfortunately not at full power. And that definitely shows in his stats. Though his weight has been averaged out, his speed is below average, thanks to the fact that when he runs he can levitate, but his attack is one of the weakest in Smash Bros, and there will be an explanation for that when I get to it. Though his defense has also been averaged out, as he wants to probably do everything in his power to properly protect his body, but where he keeps most of his power is with his knockback ability, meaning a lot of his physical base attacks will send his opponents flying, though he's not really a great damage dealer. He also has 2 weak jumps and no other movement options. When he enters from a stage, you can see him appear from dark hellfire. After all, he is the lord of the underworld, so it makes sense that he would reappear through flames of darkness. For his taunts, his first one shows that he's actually incredibly bored, the same gesture that you see in one of his images in Kid Icarus Uprising. His second taunt will have him floating in the air, looking like he's kinda goofing off. For someone who's been long gone for almost 10 years, it's generally surprising how laid back he is. And for his third taunt, he unleashes a menacing aura around his body, showing you probably shouldn't be messing with the literal god of death, especially in a platform fighter. Moving on to the color palettes, obviously his first one is his default design, though his second color palette will darken some of his color palettes, but definitely gray them out a little more, referencing his subordinate Medusa. Color palette 3 will give him a more lighter green skin tone, in reference to the actual second command of the underworld, Thanatos. Color palette 4 is a dark blue, referencing another Kid Icarus enemy, Pandora. Color palette 5 is an uprising color palette, making him bright red, referencing the sun god Pyron. Color palette 6 gives Hades a more light blue design, referencing Poseidon, the god of the sea. Though he only appears in one chapter, if you read Greek mythology, Poseidon is still Hades' brother. So it makes sense that for his 7th color palette, I'd make him bright yellow, referencing the color of lightning. More specifically, the god of Olympus himself, Zeus. Though he doesn't appear in Kid Icarus whatsoever, that or Palutena takes over the place of Zeus in this canon, I think it would make more sense to give Hades a color palette representing the one brother he dislikes the least. And for his 8th color palette, it'll be his final boss variant, with a brand new set of legs and of course his blue Hellfire head. And lastly, for the victory animations, just like with the Paper Mario victory animation, if Hades wins the match, Hades' claws will appear in the front of the screen and slash it through it, revealing Hades with a Hellfire backdrop, similar to Sephiroth's victory animation. For his second victory animation, he crosses his arms and then looks at the camera with a menacing face, knowing that he has more souls to feed his underworld army. And for his final victory animation, though he's happy to join the battle, he unfortunately has to bid his opponents adieu. And for Hades' victory theme, it makes sense that it's, well, Hades' theme from Kid Icarus Uprising. Moving on to Hades' standard attacks. Starting with his jab, he'll raise his palm forward and a small burst of energy will appear. Similar to the starting animation of Mewtwo's jab, except there won't be any combo damage, it's the one singular attack. For his dash attack, he brings both hands together and then he claps them forward, a move with great knockback and great for KOing at high damage. When we get to his tilts, his side tilt, he would do a downward crescent slash forward. For his up tilt, Hades will do a powerful uppercut, and for his down tilt, Hades will cause Dark Hellfire to rise in front of him. While for his smash attacks, his side smash is similar to Bayonetta's. The animation does have slow startup, but getting caught will of course send any opponents who get near it flying. For his up smash, he makes a blood-curdling cry above himself. Anyone who gets caught will be temporarily paralyzed and then sent flying. If at a high enough damage, Hades can actually go for the kill. And for his down smash, he slams a single hand to the ground, causing a massive shockwave. Though the ending animation is slow because, well, drat, his arm got stuck. Next are his aerials, with his standard aerial having him expand dark energy around him. His forward aerial will have him launch a dark laser arrow in a zigzag animation, but in truth it's actually just going forward. His back aerial, Hades' face will actually appear behind him and shoot a ball of energy. His up aerial has two small energy projectiles coming straight out of his eyes, upward. And for his down aerial, he'll do a drop kick in a 45-degree angle. When he impacts the floor, it'll actually have a higher hitbox, but if an opponent gets hit by his foot, they will be spiked. Hades can even bounce off his enemies, if properly positioned. For his grabs, he'll grab his opponents using the black hole in the palm of his hand. If you hold the button, he can actually suck foes closer to him until he grabs them. When he pummels a foe, his chest will actually summon out a giant drill, and instead of just pressing the A button to pummel, if you hold the A button, you'll actually do better damage. For his forward throw, Hades will punch his opponents right in the stomach, sending them flying forward. For his back throw, he throws his opponents behind him like they're pieces of trash. Not the highest knockback of his abilities, but it does give you enough space and range to plan your next move. His up throw, he throws his opponents upward, and then he'll shoot beams of energy out of his hands above himself. Any opponents who get near will also get caught in the crossfire. And for his down throw, he'll hold the opponent with his single hand and then slam him straight into the ground, and will even have the potential to bury his opponents. Now we're to Hades' special attacks. Though Hades doesn't really have a lot of moves I could really think of that really feel like Hades, I decided to go more with moves that are inspired by what he does, as well as emphasize his tricky nature. So starting off with his standard special, it's called Trick Shot. Hades will shoot two different types of projectiles out of his hands, but he'll only shoot them one at a time. And depending on which one goes out, his right hand will actually fire a giant projectile, which if untouched for a long period, will actually move faster and get smaller. Not only can you counter these projectiles real easily, but you can even destroy them with a perfectly timed attack. But it's the ones from his left hand you have to worry about, as he'll fire two small little projectiles that show Hades is quite the trickster, as these projectiles are uncounterable. What do I mean? Well, basically, this is a literal counter for a counter. Just like in Icarus Uprising, if you try to destroy this projectile in any way, it'll actually lock onto you and you instantly take damage. It'll ricochet for a little bit, but then come right back at you if you try to counter it. And considering when you tap the B button to release different projectiles, you have to be very careful when he tries to fire both at the same time. The Kirby hat will be Hades' hair as well as his makeup. For Hades' side special, it's called Back into the Shadows. It works similarly to Greninja's Shadow Sneak or Fox's Illusion attack, as when you press side B, Hades will disappear into the darkness and reappear depending if you choose left or right. However, depending on what direction you press, you can actually strike back real quickly. So for example, if you use the side special and then side A, you'll do your side tilt. If you do it in the air, he'll use an aerial attack. And if you press down, he'll attack from below. But if you hit the opposite direction after using it, Hades will actually return to where he was and cause a small explosion where he was originally going to be. But be warned, you should never use this move in the air. Hades will go into freefall. For Hades' up special, I call it Inferno Uprising. Hades will cloak himself in dark fire and then spiral upward like a dark tornado. It's a combination of when Hades was trying to escape from Pit in the final battle, combined with a shadow tornado in one of his battle phases. It does go a good amount of range, but Hades will go into freefall right after. And lastly is Hades' down special, and one of his most important moves. In case you forgot, Hades actually has the weakest attack, but some really high knockback, meaning his physical moves are the best when it comes to KO potential, but he has a hard time building up that with his attack. And it doesn't help that I actually gave him a lot of projectile-based moves. But that's where his down special, Battle Ensemble, comes into effect. By pressing down B, Hades will cover himself in demonic roses. What does this do? Well, simple. it gives Hades attacks more extra projectile power, meaning all attacks that use a projectile in some way or form will be upgraded from 1 projectile to 3 projectiles. Though considering they are the weakest of attacks, with some of the weakest projectiles doing only 1% damage, and the only highest amount dealing is his standard special and his back air, doing 7% damage, this will give Hades an additional 3% damage per projectile that successfully hits an opponent. Yeah, we just made him a little more terrifying. But note, it does have a time limit. Hades does not start off with this ensemble ready, and takes roughly like 10 seconds for it to take effect, as you'll notice a meter within Hades' icon. When it's fully charged, you can activate the battle ensemble. However, the more projectile-based moves you use, the more likely it is to drain, and you can even destroy the flowers by, of course, attacking Hades. 3 powerful hits will be strong enough to destroy the flowers, and Hades will have to wait a while before he can recharge again to use his battle ensemble. And lastly, it's Hades' final smash, which I call Hades' Last Stand. When Hades activates his final smash, he'll slash a dark, shadowy portal open, and anyone who gets caught in it will be sent into a cinematic. Hades will take on his gigantic form, and then charge up a massive laser, and when he fires, not only will he shoot his opponents, he'll straight up vaporize them, similar to King K. Rool's final smash. Though we don't get to see him fire his laser in the game, trust me, I've tried, but I'm pretty sure that's what that beam of energy would do. And with that, we have set for Smash, Hades. With this moveset concept, I wanted to make Hades a devious, no-good, flat-out cheater of a troublemaker when he joins the roster, because that's who Hades is. Hades' inclusion in Smash Bros. Mostly depends on whoever's in charge of the next game. Even if it was Sakurai, who's to say he wouldn't add the Lord of the Underworld to join the roster? Though he'd have to also fight out for a spot for other fan-favorite characters from Uprising, including Magnus, Viridi, and even Medusa. But considering neither Kid Icarus nor himself have returned, let's hope we don't have to wait another 25 years for the next installment of the Kid Icarus series. Thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, be sure to like and share the video, and don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. If you also want to help out with the channel even more, you can become a channel member, a Twitch sub, or send a donation to my coffee. Support like this helps video production go faster. 2 fan characters down, only 3 more to go. So let's see who makes the number 3 spot in our next moveset concept.